Hello and well met, folks. Sorry about the delay. Today we're going to be talking about the Art Pack subscription from Fantasy Grounds. Um, I want to say that when this first started off, I didn't really recognize the value as much, but as time goes on, the value has increased quite a bit. So it's been $50 a year for the longest time, and then you can also subscribe for like $5 a month, or you can do like a buy one or two packs at a time if you want. So that's not a bad thing, and what it really does for you is it kind of puts everything into Fantasy Grounds, kind of keeps it all in one place. So you're not scrambling all the time. But the art subscription is something that I've been lucky enough to be able to enjoy since they released it. There's quite a few packs out right now for it. My biggest concern on this thing is the accessibility. So I've made it quite clear that I'd like an easier way to figure out what's in each pack. But other than that, I've enjoyed it. So we're going to talk about two newer map packs. This is a Medieval 2 one I haven't looked at yet. Maybe we'll look at that. But if you go further down in these map packs, we're going to look at the Modern Military and the Monster Pack. So if you guys watched the developer update that Adam Bradford did about a week and a half ago, he showed this, and Josh Watmough did a video on how these things work. So you get these templates and these pieces of these bodies, and you put them together in Fantasy Grounds. And that's a nice way to be able to create dynamic scenes, modify, change things around if you need like a monster really quick, so. And then Modern Military, I want to say that is not very common to have that type of asset. So this is very valuable. I don't think there's a lot of those out there. And I know most of you play, D20 modern rule sets are going to be grateful for stuff like that because it's really hard to find those assets. So I think modern military type stuff, and those are like the least available. And then sci-fi and that's cyberpunk stuff, so but maybe the second least. And obviously fantasy is the most popular and the most content. But this is a pretty good value, and not only are you getting those, but you're getting themes. So you get the industrial theme, modern dark theme, those sort of things, spell templates. You're also getting backgrounds and stuff. Like if you wanted to use a background for your images or whatever, they have that too. So it's not just assets. There's full maps, there's partial maps, there's trees, and there's even some animated stuff mixed in there. So this is a pretty good value. I think overall it's a pretty good deal. I mean, $50 is a lot up front, but for a whole year, that's worth it. Or if you do $5 a month, that's $60 a year. And then you can buy individual map packs if you don't want to be on for the month. Maybe you just want one particular one. One I find useful is this GM Symbols Art Pack. So if you're going to relabel a map or something, this would be useful for that. I'm looking forward to being able to put text on the maps. I know that's something they're working on in the future for Fantasy Grounds. I think that's one of the things they had mentioned in the developers meeting a couple weeks ago, is that they are working on making it to where we can label maps with text instead of using all these symbols. Because when you do it this way, you have to basically use one character at a time, and you have to place it and all that. It's much easier to be able to type it. But nonetheless, this is pretty good deal. So let's take a look at some of the monster assets since we're here. So this is the latest and greatest Fantasy Grounds 4.5.10. And these dice are part of the dice packs. I just themed it to kind of look kind of like this background. But if you're interested in dice, they do have a variety of dice that you can buy. Some are themed, some are changeable. It just depends on what you're trying to do and what type of content you want. But here you see I colored these. Some of these can be recolored, but they just released the monster dice and the dragon dice, and I think those are going to be expanded. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, I took a one of the sets that can be recolored, and I just kind of themed it for this particular area. So when you are going to look for assets, this is one thing I wanted to show you that's really important about assets. So when you open up your assets window, you have this home key, which kind of brings you back to the start, and that'll put you on all, which is going to show everything. So when you're looking for assets, you want to click on images. And for your search field, if you are looking for something in particular, or you're trying to narrow down your search, you can go like FG space, and this will help you find Fantasy Grounds asset pack. So if I hit Fantasy Grounds and then a space after, it has to be three characters, and the space does count as a character. So if you do it, go ahead and do that and hit enter, it's going to go through the library, and most of the packs have that FG in front of it. So all of these things here are the art packs, or most of these anyways. Now if you want to get specific, you can go FG. We're going to do the monster kit this time. So FG monster. And the monster kit is basically a new thing that Josh Watmough has come up with, and there's basically there's let's see, there's wings, looks like torsos, that sort of thing. So token frames, let's take a look at that. Oh, cool. So this will allow you to make your own tokens. So if you want to overlay this on top of a face or something like that. So I want to go ahead and make a blank image and see what we can do here. So if I go to my images area in the campaign section, and by the way, this can be done in any rule set. It doesn't have to be D&D. So I have this Fantasy Grounds UI frame section here. I'm just going to put it in there. And I'll just call it tokens because that's kind of what I want to do. And then what I'm going to do here is go back to Monster Kit. And here's the arms, here's the background. So I'm not going to use the background, but there's a few options there. Let's start with a torso. So it looks like we have different body styles and different types. So this is, yeah, some kind of like creature. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, cool. Yeah, so I like this one. It's kind of like a hairy beast kind of looking thing. This is like a lizard man. Let's use that one. That looks really cool. So what I'm going to do is, with this open here, I'm going to take this blank frame here, drag and drop this torso, this lizard man, like I think it was this one, yeah. So take that and drop it in here, and there's your, your torso or your body. So that's one of the things that they were showing during the developers meeting. I just kind of wanted to look at it a little bit more. I know that they already went through this, and Josh did a really nice video on this. If you guys watched the previews of the stuff that Smiteworks is working on, they were showing this. It looks really sharp. Okay, so this adds flexibility and value to the art pack. So you're usually shoehorned into just maps or just backgrounds or that sort of thing. But with this, with these type of assets, it's giving more value, and there's a lot more capability and a lot more use cases. So I think the more value that goes into this, and the easier this becomes to use, then more people will like it, and more people will subscribe. So they're doing pretty good there. Pretty consistent. You usually get one map pack a month at least, sometimes two. And they've been pretty steady about this, so it's not bad. So I'm going to go to these heads here, and I can see there's like a dinosaur head, the snake-like head. Yeah, so I want to use the snake head. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So we'll take that and drop it in here, and then we're going to use this to kind of go with this. And what you can do once you have this asset selected is you can kind of change the coloring and even fade it in a little bit. So you might take and click on the asset, and then you can go to the tint here, and maybe I'll get rid of a little bit of the red and a tiny bit of the blue. and kind of make it a little bit more green. So let's see what we get. I don't want to get rid of too much. There we go. So if you wanted to, you could take this color picker and use this to help define the colors. So maybe you want that. But there again, that colors the whole thing. So you get the idea though. You can take the color picker and do that kind of thing with it. But I'm not gonna I'll just clear this out. So anyways, take something like that and you can kind of arrange these how you want, and then take these images and put new arms on them or whatever you think's best. But I don't think this head fits this body type, to be honest with you. I think I'm going to go with this thing. Oh yeah, that's really alien horrific. Oh yeah, that's way cooler. Now you can stretch this out. So if you hold down the shift key, I believe, yeah, it'll keep the aspect ratio so it doesn't stretch it funny. I mean, it's okay if you want to stretch it. If you hold the control key, you can kind of shift it a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is try to blend it in a little bit with the background. So one of the tricks that I've been using is make sure the asset's selected and then go to the tint. And I'm going to get rid of a little bit of the red. That kind of helps blend it in. And then a little bit of the blue. Actually, the blue is fine. And just take a little bit of the alpha channel down so that it kind of blends in better with the background, especially like the edges. And then take and position it where you want. So let me take, yeah, I just made it a tiny bit bigger. Now this thing's pretty horrific looking. I like it. And hit OK. So it kind of blended a little bit better than it was before. So that blending thing is something you're going to have to get used to, or kind of get ready to do that. And then when you're working with multiple assets within Fantasy Grounds and they're related, you can put them in a folder. So I'm going to generate a folder, and I'm just going to call it horror creature. I don't really have a name for it. If you guys want to make up a name for it when it's done, that's cool. And I'll actually make a token out of it and stuff, so we'll see what happens here. So this is basically, this thing looks kind of like it's hunched over or something. And then what we're going to do is take these assets and drag those in. Let's see, I got the order wrong. So now they're going to be all together. So if I want to move this whole thing, I can. And that's one reason you'd nest them together in a folder, other than organizing them so you don't got like 50 different things coming down this side of this list. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go hit the back arrow and let's go to arms. Torso, wings, heads, arms. Okay. All right, so different arms. Let's see what this one looks like. I think that one kind of goes with it. I want to use something a little different. Let's see if this thing. That has like a fur or something on it. Huh. Oh well, I'll just use the ones that kind of look like it already. So and what's cool about it is you can actually flip these over. So I'm going to take one of these arms and then you could repeat it without having to drag it over twice. So what I'll do is I'll drag this over, and then, you can line this up where it lays on top so it blends right in. And then what you do is you can take and add this duplicate, and it'll add another instance of it. And then once you have this selected, this actual asset, you can flip it. So we'll flip it horizontally like that, and then you can take this and add this to the creature. And I think what's happening here is it's kind of got a mismatch because of the color. So what I'm going to do is make sure I select this asset. Oops, wrong one. Where's the arm? There we go. All right, so this. All right, so what we're going to do is, now that I have this one, let's put these in here. So all of these are in the same folder now. So this copied one, we're going to take that and kind of change the tint just a little bit. So we'll take a little tiny bit of the red out and a little tiny bit of the green out. And that should kind of help blend it in. Yeah, there we go. So it's a little bit more blended because of the lighting and the shadow. That's kind of why these don't always work out. But now I'm going to take and kind of just lightly take off some of that, and I'll do the same on this side. So I always take and just kind of back off the transparency just a little bit, and that kind of helps take that edge out. So that's not too bad. It's pretty horrific, to be honest with you. Now I want to kind of recolor this. I'm not feeling it right now, so let's yeah, it looks a little bit better. Okay, so it kind of blends in a little bit better. You play around with that color palette and you get the idea of that you can kind of manipulate it to fit whatever color scheme you want, in a sense. And then let's go with some legs. All right, so we got this thing. That's like those hairy legs. I don't know if I want that. And this bottom part is a little bit more red. So this would probably work too. Let's see what we got here. I like these dinosaur looking legs. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I don't know if those will fit, but I'm going to try. Something like that and put them down here. But the only thing is the color. You got to play with that. So let's see. Yeah, I think I'll go with like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take and drag and drop this over there. And then that's not a bad match, actually, because it kind of has the same kind of shadowing. It might even have went to this, but in this case, instead of leaving it up here, like this one, let me put the leg back down here. So I want the leg behind the torso in this case. And then I'm going to make another duplicate, drag that over, and then flip it. So here's the flip action. And there we go. So park that guy right in there. And see what you have here is this overlay looks a little bit more natural in this case. So then what you do is you just kind of play around with the tint a little bit, just a tiny bit. So maybe take out just a touch of that blue. Oops, wrong asset. So I wanted the leg. Legs, legs, legs. There we go. Okay, so this one, let's take and take a little bit of the blue out. There we go. And then this one, same thing. Just take a little bit, oops, wrong thing again. Okay, there we go. So take a little bit of the red out and the green. Bring the blue up. Slightly reduce that. Okay, so that's not too bad. I mean, they're not perfect, but you know, from a distance, you're not going to notice. And I don't know if this head fits, but you know, I can make it a little wider. So if I hit Control and then drag this out, this can make the head a little bit wider. I had it narrow on intentionally because I was trying to, and I don't want to block that little fin back there. So there we go. So that's pretty nasty looking, I have to say. There we go. Yeah, that's okay. Not bad. And then you could take one of those rings, like they were showing in the video before. You can take one of these little frames, token frames. There's elemental, there's fey, there's a fiend one. undead, wooden, celestial, and then like a gray background. So I'm going to go with these, the fiend one. Okay, so there's that. So take that and then use this as part of your, your token. You can use that, and then with Fantasy Grounds now, if you guys haven't used it in a while, you can export the image. So I'm going to take this image and export it first. I'm not going to add this frame, but you can. Like if you just wanted a head and a token, you could do that. But what I'm going to do is make sure all this stuff is in the same folder. It is. And there's going to be no background, which I like, because I don't want the background. And what you're going to do is go to this export down here. So you can export whatever you make in Fantasy Grounds, which is really cool. Before, I'd say about a year or two ago, you couldn't do that. So this is kind of, I wouldn't say it's new, but I don't know if a lot of people who haven't used this in a while, if they don't realize that. But, and what we're going to do is say, this will say horror underscore creature or something like that. And it says JPEG, but I'm going to actually go with the PNG file for now, because the Fantasy Grounds meta builder thing doesn't accept WebP yet. I don't, unless they've updated it. So I'll hit save, and once that's saved, now I can go and bring it in as an individual piece. But I want to go into this thing here, which is the tool that you use to set up the 3D aspect of a token. And I've been using it more and more to get better at using it and to get more familiarized and that sort of thing. All right, so let me go to Fantasy Grounds, and I'm going to take and go to, whenever you add or change anything, bring this over. I think it's in my let's go back to the home here. So images, campaigns. Yeah, so it's saved to my campaign folder. But what I want to do with this is to add the XML definition. So if I go to folder, I can drag this image. It kind of added something here. I don't know what this is for, but this is, I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. So I'm just going to delete that because that's not exactly what I was looking for. And now what I'm going to do is take and grab the metadata builder and then drag this over. There we go. So now what you're going to do is define the dimensions for that token. So when you put it on a map, or for the 3D view, this will show up then. Then you just take this measurement here and kind of go from the top. So we'll come out to about here. And then for the bottom right corner, we'll come out to about here. And then we're going to go to the expected height. Let's see, what would be one grid? How many feet? So maybe 5.5. And then we got to hit the center floor. So coming down the center, right about yay. And then we hit save XML. So that's going to save the data in this folder down here. So now what we're going to do is come back, refresh the assets, and now if I use this as a token or anything on an NPC, this should show up. Let's make a basic generic, let's just use like a goblin or something for now. I'm just going to cheat here. So go to NPCs, and let's just look up a goblin, just to have a base. So here's a goblin. I'll use a hobgoblin. And then I'll just drag and drop another instance of it. This is a copy. Open this up. This is how you create your own and that sort of thing. And then what we'll do is we'll take and okay, so we're going to go to the picture part of this, unlock it, and you can you can replace all this stuff. So I'm just going to take these out. We'll just use this guy here. So there's a full picture. There's that. So we're just going to call this, call it as it is kind of thing. Oh, what's going on here? Okay, so this is going to go there. It's going to go away. I don't know why this got stuck on stupid here, but it is. Let me go to, this might be a bug. Go to images. Okay, so now that we're here, yeah, I can't get out of that. I don't know what it's attached to, but it's basically not letting me close or exit out. I don't know what it's attached to, so that might be a bug. Anyway, so this is not normal behavior. It should close out with the background, unless this is for the dice. Maybe that's what's going on here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Let's see. Nope, that's not that. I don't know what happened there, but if it can be broken, I'm going to break it. So let's put it that way. All right, so it's kind of inevitable. When you use Fantasy Grounds enough, you will find things. I'm going to report this actually to the forums. That's kind of weird. I don't know how that ended up being a thing here, but it has to do with the editing mode in the image editor. Anyway, so this is just a way that you can do that. So I'll go back to my NPCs and put this kind of fake hobgoblin on the combat tracker, and then just end up getting just take a map or something. So if you have any assets like maps, what I'll do is I'll go to my assets and let's see, go back to the home and go to images, and I'm going to grab one of the meander maps that I have many of those. So Fantasy City at night, that sounds good. So we'll take something like that and we'll add it. We'll do a quick map or something like that to it. And then the enemy, we'll just stick them in the center. Hit submit. And let's see what we got. So what we'll do is turn on the grid just so we can see it. And then I usually change the color. I hate that washed out gray color. I usually go with like a yellow or something that I can see. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That's kind of weird. Okay, so there we go. Hit OK. Now I'll take this guy and put him on the map. Okay, now make it visible. All right, so that's just the top-down view, and I don't have a POG for it. I erased it. But if I go to the 3D mode, it should technically show that creature. Yeah, there it is. Cool. All right, so it's kind of a little hunched over dude. Pretty neat. So I'm going to turn on the navigation buttons and kind of rearrange the desktop a little bit. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, in a pinch, that works pretty good. So that's just, the one of the use cases for the map tools. The other thing is, let's see, the modern military. I wanted to look at the assets. I don't think I'm going to build with it, but I wanted to look at those. So we go into assets, and then we go back to the home button here, and then click on images just so we have the right spot. And I'm going to do Fantasy Grounds or FG underscore or just a space, and then Modern Mill. Okay, here's the modern military. So there's brushes, decorations, and fills. Let's check out the decor. Oh heck yeah! So this I could see being useful in a lot of different cases. Like some of this could be used for like Fallout, and because you have all these barrel thingies. So a post-apocalyptic, I guess, is the term, or apocalyptic type thing. And then also, you guys got on the Meanders Kickstarter, the last one that Chris is doing. I think he's doing something similar. So if you mixed his maps and assets with this stuff, it would probably work out pretty good. And he's doing his own military, and I don't think he's done very much of those. So this looks pretty good. There's quite a few assets here. Like here's a tank. That looks really nice. The shovel. There's a trailer. Yeah, this is really good stuff. I'm going to take a look at some of the other. So here is the brushes. So how many? Okay, so there's a barbed wire brush, which makes sense. And then there is a hanger brush. You can make yourself a bunch of rooftops and hangers. That makes sense. And let's look at the fills. So modern fills. Ground fill. So just kind of like, and then there's a metal roof fill. Cool, right on. So that's not bad. I mean, that's another type of genre that's not always fantasy. You know, that's cool. I know that when I've looked in the past for, you know, sci-fi, UFO, anything like that, it was really hard to get that stuff. Not very common. Not many people make them because they're not as lucrative as fantasy assets. And also just, you know, lots of games are centered around fantasy, sci-fi, and then like Call of Cthulhu, modern horror, you know, military stuff, all that. Those are kind of like your last stand there. And also Western was another one that was kind of hard to get assets for. So if you're Savage Worlds like Deadlands and, you know, those sort of things, those are kind of tough to get. I wouldn't say they're not out there. There's a few pretty good sets, but it's not as common. So anyways, another thing I'm excited about is the next video I do. I'm going to do kind of a look through on the new Fallout. It's got the locations and such. I can't remember the name of it, but I just picked that up today, and I'm pretty excited to take a look. I'm going to take a look at it, and then I'll do another video kind of looking at that. But hopefully this kind of inspires you and helps you, you know, make the decision if you want to invest in this or not. Some people may not find uses for it. I find myself using it a little bit more and more at times. Wanderers, yeah, the Wanderers guide, exactly, Bane. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty new, so looking forward to that. But anyhow, the use cases on the art subscription just keeps going up. It's like when it first came out, I hardly used it at all. But as time has progressed, I'm finding myself using it more and more often. And what's nice, if you already have maps, you can use the brushes and the assets. Or if you want to build your own map, you can do that. And then as I showed you, you can export the image, and then you can also bring it back. So not sure what's happening as far as this little bug here. I'm going to report this. But as far as, you know, this art subscription is totally worth it, I think. $50 a year or $60 if you do the $5 subscription, and it just keeps growing. Every month they add something to it. So, you know, before it was like 10 packs, and it may not have been worth $50, but now, several, you know, 3-4 years later, it's definitely worth the money. Anyways, folks, hopefully that helps a little bit. And next one I'm going to do is the Wanderer's Guide for in Fallout.